systems are a go.
Confirming all systems are a go. Launching the podcast.
3, 2, 1.
This is Hello from Mars.
Okay, it is sweltering hot. It is very early in the morning, and I am concerned for what kind of temperature we might reach here in upstate New York today. I'm going to be a puddle on the floor, I think, later. So by the time this episode comes out, who knows? I may not exist anymore, at least not in this form. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, I just feel like I should mention, first of all, I look the way I do right now because of the heat, but I also am prepped for my softball game that's happening today. So please don't judge me too harshly. This is going to be an interesting day because of the heat. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to me by the end of the day, but this episode will come out eventually, So that being said, can I just mention I'm a little concerned about myself? Something I just, realized this weekend. I have no sensitivity to horror movies, crime shows, and murder shows. It's a thing. It's a problem, I think, because I don't want to end up being that girl. All of a sudden, crime's happening in front of me and I pull out my cell phone and do a TikTok. Like, I don't want to be that girl. I want to be the one helping, not the one TikToking. But what happened is I was watching that new Conjuring film. And because it's on HBO Max, so it's like, oh, little click there. And all of a sudden, I'm watching a brand new movie on my couch instead of going to the theater, which is, to each their own right now. And I fell asleep during the heat of the film, like during the climax when all the big stuff was really happening. That's a problem. And it had absolutely nothing bad about the film because it's actually pretty good. And it is loosely based, I'm assuming, on real stuff because they do play audio from the actual exorcism during the ending credits, which is really creepy. But that being said, I fell asleep during the heat of it and slept like a baby too. So no nightmares, nothing came trickling into my sleep dreams. So that's a little, I think I need to just jump into some Hallmark films for a while, and then maybe baby steps back into the horror so I can build up that sensitivity again. So I'm not a giant weirdo, but before we get into today's guests, plural, because I got a situation that I've been obsessed with catfish. And it turns out some people I know have been catfished. So we're going to talk to them. I've got some emails that came through. We'll get to that momentarily. Let's check out Tops in Pop this week.
Tops in Pop.
Oh boy. So JoJo Siwa, I am not a fan. I will freely admit that. I can't stand that she's, full-blown adult at this point, 18, 19 years old, still wearing that damn bow. I can't stand it, but to each their own. If you're a fan, you're a fan. We don't all have to agree on things. But she, she's been talking a lot about her sexuality in the last, few months. And of course, celebrating Pride in a big way. Happy Pride Month also. And she had this big party. And I will say this to defend her a little bit. You don't always know, especially in her situation, people are probably bringing other people with them. You don't have that control necessarily of who's coming to this party and what they do. And of course, somebody came to the party and overdosed. So it's a bad look on her, but at the same point, again, you can't really blame her because you can't control what other people do. But it does look like there's that potential that they overdosed on LSD. So unfortunately, given her young fan base, it's not a good look. So hopefully that gets all situated. And, parents kind of understand that we don't have control over anybody else but ourselves. So, and that's a little lesson for her as well in having parties like that in the future. J-Lo and Ben Affleck are, so incredibly cute and very, very happy together, at least based on photos. So happy. J-Lo's been shopping schools in LA. And this is important to note because you might think, well, she lives in LA, right? No, her kids are actually based and in school in Miami, and they have been for the last few years. So this is just sparking some rumors now that J-Lo and Ben might be moving in together. you might think, wow, that's quick. But do we know J-Lo to be slow in that kind of way? Like she gets into a relationship and boom, she is in that relationship. Plus they have dated before. So it's not like, their affection for each other is new. So I don't know, this could be like the 8th or 9th wedding bell to ring for J-Lo. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Trump, not that I like talking about him, but banned on Facebook, at least for the next couple of years. Of course, that means he can get right back on when he needs it for the next election. Nice job, Facebook. Nicely done. Please note the face and the sarcasm that's happening here. And then, because I'm going to be talking about catfish and being catfished here, Cammie, one of the hosts of the show, she herself has been getting catfished in the last week. Somebody is claiming to be her online on Facebook and other social network platforms. I mean, she's reported it and basically, been told there is no violation here. And she's like, somebody is literally pretending to be me in multiple different ways. So can we fix this? And I don't blame her for being super upset. They're even check this out. They're even utilizing photos of her as a kid. They've made her into a twin, which is just weird. And then there's a man that's in this Facebook image as well. And it's her uncle who had passed away a while ago. So she's really irked about that. It's you're using photos of my deceased uncle. We've gone too far. Okay. So, hopefully she's getting all that situated because I believe her people are involved. Her lawyers are involved. So it's going to get crazy. And you know what? We got some crazy stories coming up here too. I've got a few different people. Mark is going to join us. My friend Scott's going to be joining us. I got a couple emails that hit me up on Instagram. So we'll hear these real life catfished stories and see how just how weird dating online can really be. Check it out. We are so many seasons into the show, and I can't believe that this just continues to happen. But I would love to hear your story. What dating service was this on? Was it on Facebook? What happened?
So in 2019, pre-COVID, I was on Bumble, and a friend of mine set me up on the profile. I was kind of skeptic with dating just because of a previous relationship and how that ended. So I matched with this woman on there. We connected very well. All of a sudden, about probably a few hours in, we exchanged numbers. And I'm thinking, it's in the beginning of the week. I would like, the full week to chat with you before, let's plan a date. I want to fully get to know you, see what I'm getting into. And within that same day, I remember it went from texting to, hey, here's my Snapchat information.
Oh, Snapchat's a dead giveaway, right?
Oh, right. But here's the thing. I'm not a Snapchat person. I'm not 18, 19 years old on Wait
a minute. I'm on Snapchat. Don't judge me.
No judgment-free zone.
There's some fun filters on there, man. Imagine the gym selfies you'd take if you just had all those crazy dog filters and shit.
Right. I mean, as you're lifting the weight, all of a sudden the tongue comes out.
Yeah,
when you're really
exactly. I mean, that could be hilarious.
So the red flag was going in my head, but also I'm enamored with this woman in the sense that we're connecting so well. It's probably just an easier way of communicating. So all of a sudden it went to Snapchat, and then I'm thinking, wait a minute. Messages get deleted within seconds of this. I'm like, what is she hiding? What's going, what's the rat in the wheel is starting to circle just a little bit with me. I'm already thinking this isn't going to work, but I'm playing this out further. I'm like, where is this going to go?
Well, that's the thing is, because when you find somebody that you have some sort of connection with and immediately, you want to kind of build on it, right? Because that's rare, so right. I get how these kind of situations can escalate a bit because it is so hard to date these days. And then to find that connection with somebody. So I'm surprised your rat in the wheels started going right away. I mean, I'm not, but I am.
You and I sharing that mutual interest with Neeb, I literally started to be like, you know,
Are you reverse Google imaging searching and all that thing?
I did everything. And I started all of a sudden being like Law and Order SVU on this case.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, she was stupid enough to give me her number like this and then switch to Snapchat. It should have been the other way around. So I started taking the number, and then it came up in Wisconsin. Now, I didn't think about that aspect in the sense, you know, you're from New York, you've come to Boston, you would probably have a New York.
Yeah, so my phone number is connected to upstate New York. So yeah, right. That could easily be the thing.
So, and people move all the time. So I'm thinking, oh, that's, you know, never think of it. So then I did some deep dumpster diving, and the name started coming up with a married woman in Wisconsin. And I'm like, oh, I am not meant to be a home wrecker right now. Like, this is not me.
Yeah.
I found that this woman she was portraying had a blog for her husband and herself about being a newlywed and like marriage advice. And I'm like, oh, isn't this ironic? And in the part of the blog that she had posted up, there was a contact information, like leave your name, your number, and if you want to contribute to the blog, you know, leave your number. So you had to leave your number so they could reach out to you. So I left a lengthy email in the comment section simply saying, I think your wife is cheating on you. Because and I left like all the information on, like, she set up a Bumble profile, and then within seconds, the husband calls me. He's like, you don't have the right to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sir, I think you may need to check your wife's phone. So then the wife called me and said, we know exactly who this is. So apparently this woman is a scorned lover, mad that her husband ended that relationship previously. I don't know if they were married or what have you. I didn't ask for specifics. And she set up this profile to be the wedge in between that current marriage.
Oh, snap.
And used like the photo, but it gets better. Before we were going to meet up, she said she was flying to Wisconsin. On the flight, she sent me pictures, but only from here down on the flight. And I simply said, like, you have pictures of your profile of your face and everything. What are you hiding? And it gets interesting.
Her face.
Right. And it gets interesting because she showed pictures of the kids sitting next to her. With me and what my family used to do for a living, I won't get into it, but involve law enforcement. I don't want any kids on my phone that I don't know, right, unless they're family, unless they're my nephews or baby cousins. The woman and husband saying, like, she did what? So I sent all the screen captures of all the messages. She reported, the husband and wife reported it to the state police of Wisconsin. The police had to call me and saying, what did she send? I'm like, she sent this, she sent that, she said the address, she sent this, she sent that. Like, I had a checklist of like 10 things that she did. And some deputy sheriff or some sheriff from like the police department called me and said, you're not the only one, because this woman lives in Boston, hence why because I was living in Boston at the time. That's how Bumble works. You match with people in your...
Yeah, because it's right in your area. That's...
Right. So she lived in Boston. She catfished people in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, and your beloved home state of upstate New York. The mental capacity to lie to one person is strenuous, but to do it to many people and keep track of those lies over like 5 people... I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Here's the question I have, because this was your relationship with her was rather short-lived. So I'm wondering, I mean, did she get to the point of asking you for money or any of those kind of things? No.
Thank God. Thank God, because I would have literally found a way to just report that to the police. But with this incident right off the cuff, the husband and wife beat me to it because I was going to call the local police and just saying, hey, I don't want any kids on my phone that I don't know and things. And it was so frustrating because it's like she lures you in with connecting to whatever, much like any online dating, and then get you. And that's why since then, I've really just have stayed away from dating apps, and just because it's foolish right now. It's like I'm taking time and focusing on me for a while.
Well, and this is leading into our discussion. I was mentioning how like it can be like right now it is very tricky to figure out how to date, right? Because obviously social media paints the best of lives for everybody. You've got these dating apps where, like you said, like you never know who you're talking to, and then we almost don't know how to connect with people outside of it. So it's like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm not going out to bars or whatever with that intention. So here we are, mid-30s or whatever, trying to navigate this dating life that really doesn't exist in a lot of ways, unless you are on these apps, which is just kind of like a weird way and kind of a scary way in a lot of times.
Because and the thing is with me is like, I give it a full week of getting to know you. Like, not to the point where when we meet, we run out of things to talk to. I want to thoroughly know that you're invested in this as much as I am with things.
And probably real.
Right. I don't want to show up and then all of a sudden be welcomed by a guy that's
right. Like all of a sudden here's George
pounds.
from Brighton, who just kind of like rolls up and is like, "Hi, we've been talking on social."
Hey, George needs loving too. Huh?
Right. So obviously with Mark, this all happened on a dating app. With Scott, same situation. And I know, Scott, like, for you, it wasn't fake pictures involved, but just, I guess, really not the best images to go along with what actually showed up when you finally met. And I mean, that happens quite often. So tell me how this situation played out.
So I connected with this one girl on one of those dating apps, and we talked for about 2 weeks before we eventually decided to meet up. We were going to go get some dinner, go bowl or something along those lines, and just hang out, get to know one another. Well, when she shows up, I do not recognize her at all. This girl walks right up to me and is like, "Oh, hey, Scott." And I'm like, "Hey, who are you?" Not realizing that it's this actual girl that I've been talking to on one of those apps. Needless to say, she was probably about 60, 70 pounds heavier in person than she was in the pictures that she sent me. She admitted later on that she was using old pictures of herself on the dating app, and that she's gained a lot of weight since those pictures were taken. So that's how she catfished me there. I was not attracted to her at all, and if you're not attracted to somebody, how is that relationship gonna work? So, like, we still hung out, we had a good time together, we got a couple drinks, and we still, like, had some fun, because I didn't want to be a jerk and just be like, peace out, chuck up them deuces and just be gone. But we never talked again after that. She tried to message me a couple times, and I just kind of blocked her, because I felt that if she could catfish me like that and send me, like, not fake pictures, but basically fake pictures of herself, then I didn't have to give her an explanation of why I didn't want to see her again. She started off this whole process with a lie, so, I mean, we're both in the wrong here, but I honestly don't really give a crap about it at all. And another thing that really annoyed the crap out of me on this date was when the bill came, and she didn't even like pretend to reach for her like bag, like she was gonna try to pay for any of it or like pay for the tip or whatever. She just like expected me straight up to pay for it.
Throwing up those deuces, like that might be my favorite new term. Scott always has the good ones. And I want to share this story from Jackie. She reached out via Instagram. So let's check out this email that I got, this DM. So Jackie said a couple of years ago, she had gone on this dating app and this guy responded, and it looked like
based on the picture, very good looking guy, but might have been out of his league a little bit. So she decided to check out his profile anyway. Turns out he is an orthopedic surgeon in California, so he said. So they started messaging back and forth, and she noticed some inconsistencies. So she was asking him to jump on FaceTime. He did, with a black screen, and said, "There's something that I have to tell you." Well, it turns out he's not the guy in the pictures. And she actually was flat out honest with him and very blunt about it. Like, if you had told me the truth, even if the picture was different, maybe I would have given you the time of day. But lying, not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, another crazy situation. This is the thing is like, I want to say that some of these reality shows are completely scripted and made up. And, they might be to an extent, but catfishing really does happen. This is also why I don't like swiping left or right. Like I like real connections with real people. Also probably why I haven't dated in a very long time, because we haven't been able to have real connections with real people in a very long time. So here's what I'll tell you, in a couple episodes, we're going to wrap this season up. We'll take a little bit of a hiatus. And then season 2 of Hello from Mars will be coming at you this fall. So get ready. New ideas coming this way, new guests and all the things will be coming in season 2. But we got a couple episodes left of season 1 before we wrap it up. So keep cool if you can. It's hot. And keep being safe, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
Oh, hey.